Hello, friends and lovers. It's been a long time, but this is YouTube Haelian. I'm here to teach you about the best build in Hades 2 right now at the start of early access. It is going to be the aspect of Momus, and it's not because of the heal. In fact, we're pretty much going to ignore the whole healing part of this aspect, and we're going to focus on purely the special power damage. So your specials get plus 30 power, which means their base damage is increased by 30, so each special deals 40 damage per pop. And it's very rapid, as you can see. This is very, very rapid that you can fire out the staff special. So it's incredibly strong as is, but there are some things that make it even better. So this video is going to kind of talk about how to set up for the strongest build in the game, why it's good, and what you're going to want to encounter basically in a run in order to take advantage of it. You can easily use this to, say, beat 32 Fear, for the first time, or to get a really quick run if you're interested in speedrunning the game. But we're just going to kind of take it slow, and it's going to be a pseudo over-explain where we talk a lot about the build and the different things that you're going to desire. This is my Arcana card setup, so we're going to talk for a minute about this. I have the entire top row filled out, even though we don't really need some of this stuff, namely the Sorceress, and we don't need Death, but we do really want the Huntress. But we have the whole top row enabled just because we want to turn on Divinity, to get boons to be hopefully epic, or that way, you know, maybe we can get them into heroic, especially from Poseidon there. We do have the Titan on. We had the Furies on for extra damage, because that will work. Sorcerers won't do anything because we don't plan to use a single Omega the entire time. We don't plan to use any magic the entire time, by the way. The Wayward Sun is probably just not that useful. The Huntress is going to be turned on all the time, and I'll show you why. And it's going to be quite important as to how that works. And then we have Boatman, Fates, Seer, Champions, all that stuff is on, so we have lots of roles to be able to control our build. Now, you might notice I don't have Death Defiances on. Of course, if you wanted to turn on your Death Defiances, there's a lot of things that you could do, but I kind of wanted to show that you probably don't really need it, truth be told. Hopefully, you don't need it. Hopefully, I'm not going to need it. There's a few ways you could turn off the Furies, and then you could turn off the Lovers, and then, boom, there's your Death Defiances. Or even you could turn off the Titan and the Lovers, and then boom, once again, there's your Death Defiances there. Of course, we do have Origination on. That's obviously going to be very important in literally every run. I don't know if there's a run where I would not have Origination on, by the way. We're going to start with Poseidon's Keepsake, because putting Poseidon on the special here, I think the base damage at common is 30, but it goes all the way up to 60 if you get heroic by, you know, using his Keepsake on a epic special being offered. It's just incredibly good. So it more than doubles the damage from your special. But more importantly is the hammer that you run into, and that's where you really get the damage from it. So basically just spamming the special, ignoring the Omegas and every other part of the build. You know, you drop your cast for the Furies damage here and there and stuff. It's gonna do you really well for you. It's really straightforward. It's really simple. I'm not doing anything that fancy, truth be told. Here's the Fear. I decided to do 20 just to kind of, again, demonstrate how it works, but there's actually some advantages to using some of these in even a very casual run, namely Vow of Panic for this, which sets your magic to 0. This means that the Huntress is on at the start of every chamber. You don't have to actually use any magic in order to turn it on, and since we don't plan to have any use for magic, this just is pure benefit at this rate. You don't need anything else besides this special. Vow of Forsaking. After you choose a boon, 2 unpicked blessings will not appear again this night. This makes it a little bit easier to get certain boons, namely from Poseidon, because we're really hoping for Slippery Slope, which will apply a curse to enemies that get hit by your Poseidon splash boons, and thus could possibly lead into his legendary boon. And yeah, but the big thing is that Slippery Slope, probably, just because it's halfway to Origination, and then we just need another curse from our dash or our cast that can get applied to get 2 curses on enemies. Vow of Arrogance is free, so I'm turning it on. Vow of Desperation should be free in this circumstance, so it's on. I turned on Vow of Scars for 1 just to round it off the Fear to 20, because 19 felt like a weird number. And Vow of Fury, not for a good reason, but just to kind of up the difficulty so we don't have too easy of a time is sort of my thought. So we only have 1 Death Defiance, and that is from actually the Cat Familiar. So it restores, I don't even know how much health it restores nowadays, maybe 60. I'm going to guess, and that's all we have. It can get refilled if we do lose it. But anyway, let's get a run started. And I did find a seed here where we start with the hammer. And this is probably the most important single upgrade that you cannot quickly guarantee. And you might not get it, of course, in the run, or you might not get it till later, or you might not see it at all. You know what I mean? But this is obviously the best one by a large amount. You don't want anything that affects your omegas. There are a couple runner-up hammers that do pretty well here. I think it's called Shimmering, which makes it bounce around. Oh gosh, I don't remember the other one, but Double Moonshot is just absolutely insane. Your special fires 2 projectiles, and it now seeks foes. I mean, you literally doubled your output on the special, and it's already pretty good. Now, you don't have to get this to have a good run, but if you want to have a great run, then yeah, you're going to want Double Moonshot really badly. And you'll see right away, there's just like not much to it. Now, I'm sorry that the screen flashes a little bit here and there, but that's because of the sorceress in the game thinking that, you know, because I'm tapping the special button so fast that we're trying to use the Omega special. It won't happen every chamber, though. So yeah, just run in. We can throw down the cast, keep enemies away from us. Maybe they get into the circle in order to take a little bit more damage. And then we just go. Now, we do have a tight deadline on, so therefore I'm going to pause buffer, and you're going to want to use this technique too if you're running any amount of Vow of Desperation here. So you can look at the doors and think about them. So we have Gold and Selene. We have no interest in Selene because we don't use magic at all. Gold is not great, but I really don't want to start throwing out rolls this early. We do already have a lot of money because of the boatman, but yeah, we're just gonna kind of accept this for now. We're not gonna be too stingy. We could have rolled and possibly gotten Poseidon a little bit sooner, but yeah, we do want his special boon, especially with Double Moonshot. It's gonna be incredibly important. It's kind of unlucky that we didn't get it offered a little bit sooner, but yeah, we're gonna go this way. The fact that this build allows you to straight up ignore magic, which is not super common in the game, is a big strong point. So it's very strong, and you have no use for magic, right? Most builds, you kind of want magic in some way or another. It's not necessarily a requirement, but most builds, like magic is very useful in some way. All right. We can rarefy this by using the keepsake and turn it epic. So now we get 40 damage per special. And yes, it does stack up with Double Moonshot. So Double Moonshot doubles your special projectiles, right? So that means every special we trigger, we're getting 80 damage from the splash. And then we also have the white damage from the actual special itself. Faithful Twist, I don't think so. Don't really need any of that stuff. Okay. So we move on. So you might be wondering, okay, so what do you need now? Well, the truth is, you don't need a lot. Okay, I guess we're just going to get some armor. Okay, but Hestia is kind of someone that we want. Forgive the pause buffering again, but this allows us to kind of talk about it. You can get Scalding Vapor. Hestia also just has an easily applied second curse in the in the cast with Scorch, right? You know, you could take the attack, but it's kind of hard to work in attacks in between the specials, and you kind of don't want to have to do it. Soot Sprint doesn't really suit. It only applies Scorch if you actually destroy a projectile. Yeah, I guess we could wait and see. Skipping the shop is bad here, though, generally. If you're running a 5-minute timer, you really don't want to skip a shop like this because it's a chamber where you don't have to fight enemies. You know, if we go to the right, we're not taking the shop, we are fighting enemies instead. Now, we'll go quite quickly. And we do also have a ton of money to spend, is the truth, too. I am gonna go to the shop, even though Hestia is actually a god we like. Aphrodite is not necessarily a god we like. In fact, these are pretty bad. But Aphrodite does have the cast, which applies weak. So that'll help. She does have Passion Dash, but I don't really want that. She does have Glamour Gain. Again, just to apply weak. So I think we will just go ahead and grab it. Yeah, we just care about applying weak with her, really. Now, you might be wondering, what about Duo Boons? What about this? What about that? You kind of don't need them. There's Scalding Vapor from Hestia, but I don't even know if I'd say that it's necessary. Demeter, I see. So Demeter could give us our second curse already, but we actually want the second curse from Poseidon if possible. Demeter is a great god for origination purposes. I am going to skip this Chaos Gate because the mini-boss is here, and the mini-boss should go quite fast when we have a strong build. If we roll again, it's pretty much guaranteed to be Poseidon, and I guess I'll explain it as we fight the boss. We're going to roll the door. There we go. So in Hades 2, there is what we call a 3-god pool. A 3-god pool kind of just means that once you get 3 different gods, different boons, 3 different gods boons, the game will not offer you more at that point. You will only keep showing you those 3 same gods over and over and over. So we saw Aphrodite on the door, and we already had a boon from Aphrodite. We rolled, we got Demeter offered, right? We did not have a boon from her. So we kind of know if you roll again, it's guaranteed to be Poseidon. Now, Crashing Wave is okay, but we do have 8 rolls still if you look in the bottom right. So I really just want Slippery Slope in order to activate Origination and get that plus 50% damage for 2 curses, I think. Crashing Wave does help get us toward the Legendary as well, which I'm a little interested in. Uh-oh, we still didn't get it. It's a bit alarming. Double Up is fun. I think with this many rolls, we're okay to roll 1 more time. Okay, we did get it. The rarity really just doesn't matter. Your splash effects from Poseidon also inflict slip on foes. Slip bonus damage plus 5%. The effect itself is not good, truth be told, but Origination is just so good. So important. So now, between the cast and the special, we're getting 50% more damage. Only 3 boons in. And you can see that, you know, things are just melting very, very quickly. There's really not much else to it. So now, we're pretty set up. I mean, we'd like some more Poseidon boons, but we don't really need it. I guess we could find more ways to apply Origination, but once again, don't really need it. I might have missed a fishy there, but oh well. I'll take the bones, but I don't really have a need for any of these resources, so the choice doesn't really matter very much there. There are some interesting choices around getting Artemis. Now, I believe with Artemis... that trial's interesting. Forgive the pause. With Artemis, you cannot see her in chambers that kind of give you boons, maybe even palms. I think it's kind of like Artemis only appears in chambers with gold, magic, health. Don't quote me on all that, but I'm at least almost positive she won't appear in chambers where you're getting boons, especially trials. She is not going to appear in a trial at all. So what can we get from Poseidon and Aphrodite? And the truth is, almost nothing now, right? Well, Poseidon boons are nice. Trials are quite dangerous, though. You take a lot of damage. Seleni's obviously useless for us since we don't spend magic. I think if I were just playing alone right now, I just wouldn't even really bother with the trial. But I guess we'll work towards Crashing Wave. There we go. I don't really care about water fitness that much here. I know that might sound wild, right? But I don't think you need it. When you got enough damage, you don't need it. Crashing Wave, so now the Legendary is possible to get from Poseidon. And since we took Vow of Forsaking... Oh, what the heck hit me? Oh, it's probably one of the hearts from Aphro. Oh, okay. I think they're just like spawning on top of me. Is there like an indicator? Okay, I see it now. How dare you, game. Note to self, no Aphro trials in the future. They're hard to see. From her, I'm not certain we really care. There's Sweet Surrender. I might just take... This isn't really that much damage, you know what I mean? One way to look at these things that give you plus % damage, kind of just tack it on if you already have, like, let's say you had Aphrodite Special here, which gives you plus 200% damage maybe on average half the time if you have a decent rarity and a palm or 2 on it. You just basically add on that 15%. So it would be, if it would go from 200 to 215%, and look at it that way. It's just like, how worth it is that for a whole boon? And the answer is not very much. Like, a palm is worth more than that. Shameless Attitude is actually okay here, though. 20% damage, and I believe it is what we call global, which means it'll affect splash damage, too. It's actually surprisingly good. I don't plan to put on a keepsake like White Antler, which gives us bonus damage at low health. Yeah, I mean, with no Death Defiances, we're gonna take it a little easy. Now, sometimes the game's sneaky sometimes. Not everything might be totally global like you think. If you look at the Strength Arcana card, which reads as it gives you plus 50% damage when you're below 30% health, it just says plus 50% damage, and that's sort of all it says. But it doesn't apply to everything, I'm afraid. It only seems to apply to attack, special, and cast, as far as we can tell. Selene, once again, totally useless. Buying her will not really help either, because she will still just... You can still get Path of Stars offered. I guess we'll buy Aphrodite. Maybe we'll fill in a slot or something like that. Wispy Wiles. We have 2 wind. Well, you have at least 4, you get 15% dodge. Secret Crush does nothing. Did we lock it? We locked out Glamour Gain when we took Shameless Attitude, I'm afraid. Rolling does not really accomplish anything. We really wanted some palms, but the shops kind of screwed us over here. Because obviously we'd like the palm Wave Flourish. So I think I will actually just take Wispy Wiles, not because I think it's good, and also it doesn't even activate right now, but mostly because it's not palmable, and I don't want to take more things that are palmable unless they're exceptional. Because this way, if we do run into a palm finally, we can actually palm the special, right? Now, some people ask, how important are palms? How important is rarity? I mean, it's kind of a case-by-case thing. I don't think there's a strict answer. Like, always take this amount of palms and then don't, and reset a run if you don't get at least this rarity. No, I mean, none of those things are really the answer. Rarity is not the most important thing in a run, typically. Typically, the most important things are going to be, can you get origination up and running? All right, I guess we'll talk about the Hex here, if I can actually avoid it. Yes, you can dodge through it just like that. That is the best strategy I have for avoiding it if you do not have the Frog Companion yet, or you're not using the Frog Companion. You kind of got to run for a second after dashing through it. Woo! Let's go. You got to run for a second in order to kind of get away from it for a moment. This was with Force Overtime on, which makes the projectiles actually travel faster, so it's tougher at this speed. But it's about 6 dodges when you're running 40% Force Overtime. If you're running 0, it's 7 dodges back and forth through it. And it's still not easy, I would say, but it's definitely doable. So what do we want for our keepsake now? I mean, we are pretty much glass cannons, right? You could do a lot of different things here. White Antler is probably not going to be what we want to go for. I mean, there's things like Lion Fang. You could do something like Metallic Droplet because you strike 20% faster, right? It's kind of interesting. We don't really have any commons that we want to upgrade with Aromatic File, I would say. I'm kind of going to go Chaos, mostly because I think it's fun. You could get something useful. I'll be honest, probably not likely. If we get Flourish, that's going to be pretty big.
That was my boot.
Wispy Wiles got activated. Oh, because we got Transcendent Creation +3 to all the elements. Oh, there we go. Which activated Wispy Wiles. Okay, that's interesting. That'll do. I mean, I can't complain. None of this stuff is particularly useful. We do have a lot of money, but that's okay. So now we have to leave this keepsake on. Let us continue now, though. I guess I'll mine some ore while we're here. So you probably saw in the fight, like, she went down very easily, right? Hecate went down very, very easily. This is easily the highest damage output build in the game right now. I don't want to roll this door. I'm going to be a bit conservative. I don't really like having to take money when we don't need it here. I'll be honest, I'd be surprised if this build does not receive some kind of nerf in the future. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know what will change. I don't really have advice on what they should change. I don't know. I don't think they have... Supergiant has a penchant for nerfing things to the ground, so to speak. Like, oh, nobody's going to use that again. You know? That's not really what they had done in the past during early access for Hades 1, I would describe. Please let me hit the special. Might even roll it here. Okay, we got it. 10 more damage on the special. It's the best we can do. So we got Narcissus on the right. It does pause the timer. We have the shop on the left. Narcissus can give you a variety of things. Maybe a random palm. Maybe a mystery boon. The rest of the things are probably not particularly useful. But the shop, with how much money we have, there's more options. We've gotten a little unlucky so far in the shops. There's also at least 2 exits here. Take the random palm. Hit Shameless Attitude. I will take the max health. We just got so much money to spend. We got Hephaestus being offered on the door there, but we don't want him in the build right now, really. He's not bad, actually, as our 3rd god, but it would probably be nice to try to aim for Poseidon's Legendary right about now. I'll even buy this Aphrodite, although we're kind of running out of boons. Okay, so this is a big question that comes up often. Why not use Aphrodite's special? It is more damage, but it requires you to be up close, and it doesn't have the on-hit effect. So, I mean, it's kind of more damage is how I would describe it. But it kind of tops out sooner than you think. It's hard to really analyze them in a bubble and say that one is always better than the other. But what I would say here is that the follow-up boons, the follow-up boons from Poseidon are typically better. Aphrodite doesn't really have a lot of follow-up boons to help the damage, and we already have some of those follow-up boons, namely Slippery Slope, right? If we swap here, Slippery Slope is useless, Crashing Wave is useless, you know? So we're not interested, in other words. There's not a whole lot I'm interested in from Aphrodite at this point in time. So we're going to take Broken Resolve, because we don't really care. Heartthrob's not going to matter, because we don't use magic. We're going to roll this door. It should be guaranteed to be Poseidon yet again, like we discussed. And yeah, I'm just kind of hoping we get a early Poseidon Legendary here. Excuse me. It's not mandatory for the build by any means. Like, we're already doing really well, you can probably tell. But it's not that much work to go for it. Hydraulic Might is okay. It's okay. It won't affect your splash damage from Poseidon, though. So it's not enormous, I would say. Plus, we have the Legendary on deck. Guaranteed. Oh, wow. So we have 2 rolls left. I don't think we're going to go again for it. Double up is kind of fun. If you don't know, a minor find means a lot more than you might think. In fact, I think this is not correct. It's not worded correctly. Because it says a minor find is Ash or Psyche on the right. But it could be max health. It could be gold. It could be a palm, even. You could double a palm, potentially. It's quite fun. But it's probably not the right thing to take in this instance. It always feels like it's too late to take double up for some reason in my mind. It doesn't really matter after that. I don't think I want to roll again. I'm going to take Hydraulic Might there. Of course, it would have been nice to have gotten the Legendary instead. I mean, sorry. Yeah, to have gotten the Legendary instead, or to have been able to take the Epic. I don't think it was wrong to roll there, though. My dudes. I think the most important thing you do in any build in this game, assuming that you do have it unlocked already, is to keep origination in mind and continuously keep it up as often as possible. Forgive the pause again. I know we have to do it. Maybe I shouldn't have done Vow of Desperation here. So we got a Palm, we got Max Magic, which we don't care about, and we got Hermes. Hermes can give you some things, namely special speed, which will allow us to spam even faster. The Palm is a little tempting, though. Hermes, like in Hades 1, you'll essentially get up to 2 Hermes boons in a run. I believe it is possible to get a 3rd in the final shop before Chronos, but I'm not even 100% on that. So generally, you'll just get 2. There's actually an infusion boon from Hermes here that would probably be quite nice if we can get that offered. The infusion boon, oh my god, we did get it. It works. The requirements are you have 1 of every element in order for Tall Order to even appear. And because of the Chaos boon here, Transcendent Creation, we were able to make that happen and get it to appear. While you have at least 2 of each element, you deal more damage, plus 20% more damage. I mean, we're gonna take that 100% of the time. This is location 21. Each zone does have a certain amount of locations before it determines that you move on. There is 1 more location before the boss. So if we buy Spark of Ixion here, ensure a Chaos Gate spawns the next chamber, we can take it. It doesn't cost us any health, but Chaos isn't super useful in this build, and it does add a location to the chamber count is the best way I can describe it. I almost want to look at the exits first, which are not very useful. I think with the amount of money we have, we can do it, though. If you're not interested in Chaos there, you definitely don't have to do that. It's not a big deal. In fact, I was very close to just not bothering with it, but I guess for fun, we'll take Chaos and see if we can get anything useful. Namely, special damage is probably the only thing that really does anything now. Probably. Wait, I did buy it, right? Oh, it did not get used for a mysterious reason. Oh, this is probably unintended, and I have not seen that yet, right? Sorry, I know I'm pausing a lot. Spark of Ixion is still in our inventory. Oh, so this is probably unintended. This is a tile set that they most likely accidentally did not allow a Chaos Gate to spawn on, like the flag to see if Chaos Gate is spawnable was not turned on. Huh, fascinating. We do have a little bit of money, so we get to keep that Chaos Gate, and that's actually really good in a sense, and I'll show you why later. We have some money. We still like the Poseidon Legendary. It's just max health really is the other option. Don't want to roll the doors now. Here we go. This is what we were hoping for here. There we go. King Tide, your splash effects from Poseidon are larger and deal bonus damage to Guardians, plus 150%. Let's go. Not bad at all, huh? Forgive me. I know, I got a little cough today. I got a little cough. Okay, so Jetty is the most annoying one by a lot. Woo, look at that damage already. You can just hang out pretty far away here. I know I'm losing my lover's effects on when you see that resisted. Jetty's going, but she's gonna go down like a ton of bricks pretty quickly. We are resisting some of these hits because of the Lover's Arcana card. Very strong Arcana card. I do recommend it. I'm trying to make sure we keep Origination up by dropping the cast, and then we just spam the special, and it's donezo. Frightening stuff, really, right? During the phase transition for this fight, the first of the three to become unbubbled is typically the one that you first knocked down, is the best way I can describe it. So if you're curious who to think about targeting going into phase 2 of that fight, you should probably start aiming for the one that got knocked down first in phase 1. Okay, so we got to keep our spark, which I was not expecting, and that's actually very strong when you go into the morning fields. And it kind of has to do with the whole location count number. So if you look in the top right, I'm looking at location 25 here, which doesn't really mean anything right now. So we can change our keepsake because we get to keep the Chaos Boon after we take this off. And there's a lot of options here. There are certainly a lot of options here that could help us. If we wanted to play it safe, you'd probably just put on Engraved Pin, I would recommend, probably. And I'm not a huge fan of Knuckle Bones, personally. Our build is essentially complete. There's Experimental Hammer, but I think there's also a couple things that are weird that I wouldn't like to have happen if we did that. There's no other gods we're super interested in. I guess I'm going to do Metallic Droplet for fun, kind of, and then we'll probably just put on a defensive later on. Special damage. I'll take it. So since we have the Spark of Ixion, a Chaos Gate will be spawning right here. In this chamber. Chaos cannot naturally spawn in this chamber. This allows us to skip the very next room location in the Morning Fields. The next room in the Morning Fields always has 2 rewards in it. So it does mean we miss out on rewards, but it saves a ton of time, because think about how long it takes to get through that location in Morning Fields where you're gathering the 2 rewards. Usually like a minute and a half, maybe. You'll be saving that time, so it's really, really, really useful if you're up against a tight deadline to be able to take a Chaos Gate here. Speedrunners will roll the well that we just looked at next to the fountain there in order to try to get this, because if you don't, it's a major time loss. So it's not important in a casual run, but it could be important if you're interested in either doing a higher amount of fear and you have a large amount of Vow of Desperation on, or if you're just up against a lot of enemies and a little bit of Vow of Desperation on. It's quite useful. It just kind of saves a lot of time anyway. All right, so none of these are actually painful at all. None of these are bad, you know? They're all essentially free for the most part. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between an encounter and a location? A location is like a chamber, I guess you could say. An encounter is when you fight enemies, so Morning Fields is special, where you can have multiple encounters per location. So if you have 3 rewards on the door in Morning Fields, that means you have 3 encounters in the next location. So this would go away after those 3 encounters, basically. None of these are particularly useful, but none of them are bad. I'm kind of just going to go for that for fun, honestly. So Demeter is here. So you might be wondering, we saw Hephaestus. We rolled past him, though, and we didn't end up taking him. Is he in what we call the god pool now? No, he is not. We will accept Demeter here. You have to actually get the boon from the god for them to be in the pool. Okay. Let's drop that. Get kind of far away, because this thing really likes to get you. I was kind of playing it safe there, you know. Same thing with Demeter. She's not in the pool. She just so happened to get offered again, basically. We definitely don't want to swap into Ice Flourish. We could take Gale Force. It's okay. The Cyclone is actually a helpful tool. A little tidbit on Cyclone, in case you don't know. It does count as a curse. For some reason, it doesn't say it's a curse on the tooltip. It just says a vortex that makes foes 20% slower. Whereas Freeze, it says curse, afflicted foes are stopped for 2 seconds. I assume it's just a typo, and it is meant to be a curse. I hope they don't change it, because I actually really like Demeter as is. You know, this is very helpful to get Gale Force, I think. It's just a good tool overall. And now we're going to be forced into Echo here. So Echo is interesting. You can get multiple... You can actually get an additional hammer from Echo if you can line things up correctly. It doesn't happen super often, because usually the sequence of events as Morning Fields is something like take a chamber with a couple of rewards, then take a mini-boss like we just did, then get Echo, then take a chamber with 3 rewards. It's actually quite fixed in a sense. You don't have to... Depending on the number of exits being offered, you might not take a mini-boss when I said, though. So it's not often that it lines up that you get a 3rd hammer from Echo, but it is possible. Yeah, so this is the thing. This can duplicate a hammer for you. It's obviously a powerful effect if you can get it to line up, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Do we have a lot of things that we want from Demeter now? There's her Sprint, but we already have Cyclone from this. So honestly, no. Like, there's really almost nothing. Like, we're not interested in a rare crop or anything like that. I think I'd rather take Evade, Evade, Evade. I think it's actually quite strong to keep us healthy and safe. Fight, Fight, Fight is almost never really worth it. It's odd, especially assuming these 2 are being offered. You really don't need it. Sometimes she offers to replenish your Death Defiances. That is really strong, obviously. We'll go for the 2nd hammer. You could, yeah, I mean, you obviously want a 2nd hammer here, still either way. I don't think there's any bad hammers like that straight up ruin the build. But I think I said it earlier, but some of the better ones are Shimmering, and there's another one whose name I can't quite remember off the top of my noodle, I'm afraid. And they're all dead. We did not get to hit the special. Hydraulic Might. So it's after you start an encounter, not after you enter a location for Hydraulic Might. Shameless Attitude is 4% more. Take Hydraulic Might there, I think. So you might want to go slow and take care of these guys if you don't know. They're just always around, right? These suckers will kind of keep bothering you for a long time, even though you are incredibly far away. And you can use these trees to get to know the location of all the rewards in the chamber. It does require incantation, though. We got Nemesis. It's kind of a good thing, assuming you can get more kills than her, and obviously we're pretty confident in that right now. Let's go ahead and just start murdering. It's good because, A, we get gold out of it, and B, look at the top right. The timer gets paused when you have to duel against Nemesis like this. Nemesis is a really interesting character because at first it's like, oh, she's like Thanatos, but then you realize she has a lot of different possibilities. There's a lot of different things she can do. She can give you a reward for free. She can offer to hit you. She can offer you an exchange. She can duel you for gold. She can ask you to hit her for 1,000 damage really quickly. There's a lot. All right, we got actually probably the next best one that you'd want with this. Your specials are 20% faster and have +5 power. Power is base damage, and you might wonder, what's the correlation here? Power is not exceptional in this build. If we had swapped into Aphrodite's special boon, then power would be a bit more effective. But if, let's say, so with this aspect on, I believe our base damage is 40 per special, so it would go up to 45 if we take 5 more power. And if Aphrodite is giving us plus 300%, right? Which is, oh no. So it would be like 160 at 40. So 45 would be 175, right? Something like that is the best way you can look at it. Power is kind of weighed better than the percentage ups. It does depend on the number and a few other factors. But generally, power, the reason why power looks so low in terms of numbers is because it could be quite powerful. I mean, it is called power, you know what I mean? Oh. Get out of here. I mean, there's not really much to say about what we're doing, like strategy in terms of in the middle of combat. I'm kind of just running away, throwing out the special constantly, and, you know, dropping the cast and trying to keep that up as often as possible. I think we will take the free palm here just because there's no more boons we really want, right? There's really nothing left, as far as I can tell. So might as well take this. A palm is one of the better things we could be getting here. We have 2 rolls. I'm willing to roll this once, probably. We got a little screwed here. Crashing Wave won't really affect bosses, so it's pretty bad from that perspective, but the other 2 are not particularly good either, so I guess we're just gonna have to go and do that. And we're on to Serby. So drop the cast for Cerberus, and then just kind of run behind. And then start spamming, right? We don't need to stay close. This is one of the reasons why this build is so strong. You have no reason to be close to the enemies, you know? I have to put the cast down. But, I mean, you can do that, run away, and now we can just stand here. We don't really need to go back for a long time. There we go, and Cerberus is down. Just like that. Again, if you don't have double moonshot, it's not going to look as good as this, but you'll still have a pretty good time. I think you'll still have a pretty good time. So don't think it all hinges on getting the double moonshot hammer. It'll definitely... It's exponential in its own way, but I've had runs where we didn't get it, and we used one of the runner-up hammers, like the one we just got, the rapid one or whatever, and it still worked exceptionally well. We will play it safe for the Chronos fight. We do have some scary things on, so I guess we'll take the engraved pin. I do think it's this one of the strongest ones in terms of defensive keepsakes. We don't need the yarn. We don't need health. We will take some more special damage because why not, basically, at this point in time. Okay. Some things about Tartarus here, in case you don't know. So some people ask about the express route, like, what does it mean? What are they talking about? Why wouldn't you go out of your way and take the rewards? Well, you might lose health. You might lose a Death Defiance if you go out of your way and not take the express route. You might have Vow of Desperation on and you lose time by taking additional chambers here. So it's up to you and what you think you can handle and what you need. Chances, I think ideally in this game, you shouldn't really need a lot by the time you get to Tartarus. In an ideal world, obviously, that does not always happen, though. That simply does not always happen in this game, right? So you might be still seeking out that core duo boon that is going to really help your build a lot when you enter Tartarus, and therefore you're going to want to take that mini boss. But otherwise, like in this build, there's nothing left. There's really nothing left. We got the legendary. We have origination up quite easily. We got 2 hammers. We got some pretty good Hermes boons. There's nothing. So while I could waste your time, and we could go out of our way and fight some additional chambers, but this is it. Money bags I find really annoying, by the way, just because you get so many of them, and they spread out, they run away from Mel. They're frustrating to have to deal with here. Now, with as much range as we have, they're not too bad in this instance, probably. But not a big fan there. Not a big fan. I heard the ding. I just want to make sure that it's not a fish, I guess. Daddy likes fish. So yeah, okay, so we do have Dad, and we'll go to Dad, because the timer pauses. However, it might be wrong. It might be wrong. You know why? Because the location count, yet again. This is location 37. So subsequent locations in a biome, generally you get more enemies or more difficult enemies, perhaps. So by increasing the location count by taking the Hades chamber here, the subsequent chamber is harder than it would have been, if that makes sense. So if you don't think you're going to have a big use for Hades's buffs here, then you might not actually want to go this way. Deep Descent, Last Gasp is obviously not very useful when we have 1 Death Defiance, Unseen Ire. Unseen Ire is definitely not great. It's only for 1. I guess Deep Descent is okay. You can roll these. In fact, let's do a Howling Soul. This is sort of what I was hoping for. We might actually want life tax, though, to be honest. Just to be safe. Because Kronos is still going to be hard at 40% faster speed, honestly. Howling Soul is pretty good. The only problem with it is that you can whiff quite easily. Whereas if you just put your cast on the ground, it's just much more guaranteed that it's going to go where you think. When you throw out Howling Soul, it has a projectile speed and time that it needs to travel, right? And in that time, Kronos or whatever may move or teleport or something, and thus you essentially waste your cast. But I do like it in general, but it's not a strict bonus is what I would say. Yeah, I think we're just going to take life tax. And we get to hold on to it the whole time here. So even if we don't need it right now, Kronos Fight will probably help us out, you know? Let's get rid of all this stuff. I don't talk about this build very much, probably. And I haven't really shown it more than once on the YouTube channel here. Because we did a lot of speedruns with it. Early on. And most of that is obviously not going to make it to YouTube because a lot of them are, you know, you just reset it or something like that. And so in my mind, we've played a lot with this aspect in this build. But from a YouTube perspective, you're probably like, wow, he's never used that build, huh? Or practically has not, you know? I do have a video that vaguely explained it very quickly, but I figured an in-depth video would help here a lot. If you're curious about what other vows to use potentially in your, because you want to do like 32 fear or 24 fear or whatever, I do have a guide video where we talk about them, and I think we do a pretty good job kind of nailing down what works well there, you know. One more fishy. Let's go Tula. And that's it for Tartarus. We, again, don't need the boss. In fact, with Vow of Forsaking on, it could get messy. We might get... Oh, well, there's no swap that is possible anymore from Aphrodite. She might only be giving us gold now because there's no boons left that could be offered, though. See Hermes. I see double palms. I see max health. I'm not certain if Hermes can really do a ton else, but he's more fun to get, right? Yeah, these are not useful. None of those are going to do anything. I'll take the money so we can get some max health, I suppose. Let's go.
One way in.
Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do. I think we have most of life tax under our belt here still. I do have a Kronos fight guide in case you're interested in a more thorough breakdown there. We're gonna run away for a second here and just take out the ads. We just want to be careful. Kronos won't generally attack from super far away here like that. That spin move is probably one of the most dangerous. I can recognize what he's gonna do based on his sort of what do you call that? We're gonna drop the cast down. He's over here. Doop doop doo. Based on his, I don't know, arms is the best way I can describe it. The banners kind of fools me sometimes, but yeah, you can see just how much damage we're dealing. Banners are very low priority. They apply barrier to Kronos and the minions around him if they're up. It's really not a big deal. So now he starts doing the triple maneuver. And this one's the frustrating one, you could say. I still get frustrated by it too. There we go. There we go. Phase 1 done, no damage taken. I did technically get hit though. Okay, he always starts with the instant kill move if you don't know. I call it instant kill because it's 999 damage most of the time. We already got the phase transition, so I'm going to slowly kill the ads. They always spawn starting at 12 o'clock and they go clockwise. He's going to do the triple move again. Well, he actually did not necessarily. These clock hands are the worst bit now. There we go, and it's done. So I hope I didn't oversell it when I said this is, you know, like, we're confident in this build. It is ridiculously strong. I don't think it'll be always strong, but for now, have some fun, take advantage of it, right? Have some fun with it. Quick Silver was our title, whatever the heck that means. I think it, because it's a little bit quick or something like that. If you skipped around the video, I will still go over the things. We took no damage in the fight. Life tax was still at 99, interestingly. Oh, Vow of Scars affects that. Oh, that's interesting, actually. Huh. Wonder how that works then. So, it's Aspect of Momus because we get extra special power from just spamming the regular special. We don't care about the heal or anything. Oh, sorry, let's get rid of the pin. We took double Moonshot Hammer in Chamber 1, which is amazing because it doubles your special projectiles. We have Poseidon's Wave Flourish, and with these three things alone, you're going to have a good time. You're going to have a very good time. After that, you really want to focus on getting Slippery Slope, to get halfway to Origination, and just some other curse like we did with Rapture Ring. We were able to get, by taking Slippery Slope and Crashing Wave, we're eventually able to get King Tide, which helped our damage. Now, if you're curious, what about this special? What about that special? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you get double Moonshot, you're going to have a pretty good time with almost any special besides maybe Hestia or Hephaestus. But Poseidon is still the top end, I think. And we discussed earlier that while Aphrodite is almost comparable, it's just the fact that you have to sacrifice your range that really hurts you. Second hammer is Rapid Moonfire, which is definitely nice to have, but is not necessary either. Anyway, I hope I explained some things pretty well in case you had a lot of questions about the game, but if you got more, make sure you feel free to ask me in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed it. If you got questions about the build, the game, whatever, just let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal, and I'll see you in the next video.